Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sah Viryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Question on Pralaya. The same beings go into Pralaya, become unmanifest, then again come back. There is no destruction of the created karma. So, is it that the jivas are not created, the old ones just come back, except ones who get liberated? Yes. After Pralaya, the next Kalpa comes. At that time, what is happening is that at that time it is it's not that new jivas is going to be created. There is nothing new here. That is the basic concept of Vedanta. Fundamental idea of Vedanta is there is nothing new. Everything is old only. Comes back again and again and again. So it's not like only once is the repeating the same thing. So same jivas. Only thing is what body, what embodiment they will be taking will vary. And only this idea goes along with the science. Established principles of science, laws of science. That is indestructibility of energy. It doesn't get destroyed at all. Otherwise, there will be one question people will always ask, this, sir, how can you justify human population is increasing? The human population is going on increasing. Now, what you fail to recognize is the statistics that you have is not complete. It is incomplete statistics. You are not considering there are so many species are extinct. As far as life is concerned, human or an ant, one unit only. Very democratic. It's not that human is a highly evolved species, therefore extra value for him. Ant is just an ant. No? So just give him a low importance. No. One life means one life. Nature will never consider this life superior, that life inferior. One life, one life. Everybody has got one vote. Whether you are literate, illiterate, poor, rich, man, woman, doesn't make any difference. You got one vote, full stop. Same thing here. One life. What about all those things? All disappeared. So whatever is lost there is gained here, balances. But always they ask, who's the new things are coming up, sir? There's nothing new. Same thing in new package. Same jivas, same beings come back again and again and again. Otherwise, if it is not coming back as the same thing, then there will be certain flaws. You will find there is a mistake in that theory. Then it is a flawed theory. It is an incomplete theory. It is a wrong thinking because it doesn't explain. It doesn't justify certain ideas. What is it? Suppose, let's say that during Pralaya time, everything gets closed. All accounts closed. We start afresh, let's say. All that you have to do is what? Just wait till Pralaya, that's all. isn't it? You just have to wait till Pralaya. All your things will be written off. So what happened to your karma? Karma nasha will happen, no? How can karma nasha happen? One. Next one is, next kalpa, if he has to create beings, on what basis he will give birth to them? Okay, you get this embodiment, you get this embodiment, you get this embodiment, you get this embodiment. On what basis it will be given? Random. According to the whims and fancies of Brahma. How can he, how he doesn't have that authority? He cannot do that. He doesn't have that power. Then it will be random. Now the starting is random. Everything has to be random only after that. After that, you can't have any logic and all that there. Therefore, we say what? No. During Pralaya, what is happening there? The whole thing goes to unmanifested state. The next kalpa, starting period, creation happening, same thing comes out. Like they say in computer language, garbage in, garbage out. You see that the jargon they use. Whatever you put inside is what will come out. So you can't blame computer. It's got nothing to do with the computer. It is to do with what you feed in. If you feed garbage, only garbage will come out. Don't blame the system. Similarly, don't blame the system here, which has a lot of implications. Like we say, preserve the nature. Why you got to preserve the nature? Not that your grandson needs it. This girl Greta doesn't know, poor thing. If Vedanta were to be speaking to the UN, what he will say is not that. How can you deny these things to your grandson? My rights. Re Buddhu, you are the one going to come back again. You go and you come back. Exactly like you go for a tour and come back. After a tour, where are you going to go? You are going to come back to the same house. Therefore, when you are leaving, what are you supposed to do? Cover all the things and go. Switch off the geyser. Switch off the fridge. Cover all this, sofa sets with the cloth. Otherwise, when you come back, it will be what? Because you are going to come back after a few years. After 10 years, you are going to come back, let's say. What will be the condition of the house for you to come back? Therefore, we say what? You better take care of the place properly. Even when you are not there, you should have made arrangements to be the house to be maintained properly. Then the fellows will feel, yes, sir. Then I would love to, saying that, the future generation needs petrol, future generation needs this, that, love. Kiddish talking. It's not necessary at all. All those things are spoken of only because of what? Because of your attachment to them. That's about it. Suppose if I'm not attached, I would not care. Suppose if I say grandson, I don't have a grandson. Therefore what? I can afford to exploit him. Only if you have a grandson, there is a problem. No. Imagine all of us become like Bhishma. Not like Bhishma. Bhishma is, not this way. He is a embodiment of Dharma, that fellow. He was very righteous, this man. But we live, like hippies. We don't care, man. Why should we bother about all that? Only if we create, no problem. No, we will not create. What is the issue then? Then you will be allowed to exploit, right? You have to have these animals needs to be protected. Why? Not because animals need your protection. Remember, you are that. And you will become that after a point. After a point, you are going to become that. So, be careful. We are creating a system. That system should have these things to take care. When you have this idea, whole thinking changes. That's all. The way you treat the world would completely change. Otherwise, it's very difficult to have the reasoning. You say there will be a lot of implications, every theory has its own implications. Suppose if we say it is going to be new, the next creation will be on what basis? So therefore, Vedanta says it cannot be like that. That immediately you cannot go backwards and say that, sir, what about the first creation? What about that? Then Vedanta says, forget about all these things. About the first, different reasoning will be done. If you are asked this question with reference to the first creation, Brahma, when he started the first day, as soon as Brahma was born, child labor. It is not even child labor, it's infant labor, because as soon as he is born, he has to start creating. Poor fellow, no time at all for him. Straight away he has to engage in creation. How is that? On what basis he could have done that? How is that? For which Vedanta will go back and say, from where did Brahma come first? Inquire into that. Then comes other beings. From where Brahma is, then the whole reasoning will take a different turn. So about that you cannot ask right now. Right now we are discussing only within this, after Brahma, what is happening. What is before Brahma, how Brahma came, from where he came, how he came, different question. After Brahma had come, creation happens. We are discussing about that part here. So don't mix up. People will immediately mix up these things. See? So when you ask this question, the jivas are not created, the old ones just come back. The same old ones. Only thing is, when the old ones come back, when they come back, they need not come back in the same form. You see? Then on what basis that next form will be given? On the basis of your karma that you have incurred, your punya papa, depending upon the basis. So the basis for creation is the punya and the papa that you accrue. Suppose if you were to perform the spiritual disciplines where you don't accrue any punya or papa, when you nullify your account of punya papa, Brahma gets stunned. You go beyond Brahma then. You see? Because Brahma can work only after you have punya papa in your account. Suppose your punya papa account becomes nullified, nil. Brahma can't decide for you after that. Then who decides? If Brahma is not going to be deciding, because Brahma's decisions are possible only with if you have this stock of punya papa. Suppose your stock becomes nil, balance is nil, then who decides? He decides. He decides. On what basis? That and all we don't know. But only he will decide. Whereas for all of us, Brahma will decide what will be our next Janma. You see, only Brahma has to decide. We can't decide. Our jurisdiction is only with reference to the choice of doing actions in a particular way to develop punya, papa, or nullify punya, papa. That choice we have. However way we execute our choices, based on that, Brahma will take action. So depending upon my quantum of Punya Papa, next embodiment will be given to me. Meaning, based on my karma. In a simple terminology, we just use one word, karma. Depending upon your karma means karma's effect of what? Punya Papa. Depending upon that, you go little philosophical, then we will not use the word Punya Papa. Depending upon the nature of desires that you have entertained, you will be given the embodiment. So Punya Papa means only the quality of desires. If you are developing a positive, once you will get a positive option. You develop a negative one, you will get a negative one. You get a confused one, you get a confused one. Mixed one. So most of us get mixed ones. Punya is there, Papa put together is there. So depending upon that, that embodiment and that environment would be created for you to go through that experience. Because you asked for it. So what you have asked for, he creates and gives it to you. You know, free food. You go place the order, but he will not give a bill to you after that. You can eat and go. Right? Bill will be paid by somebody else. But he will not cook anything on his own. You have to tell him what to cook. Depending upon what you said, he cooks and gives it to you. That's all. Very simple. That is. So Punya Papa is only this. You see, so what creates is this. So does it mean that after Pralaya, in the new Kalpa, would there be a repetition of Satya Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Kali Yuga? In that case, all beings of Kali Yuga would come back in Satya Yuga. Yes. All things will come back again. Will come back again and again and again. You know, the same cycle will repeat. Will come back. Will come back. Come back in the sense, it's not that after Kali Yuga, straight away Satya Yuga. After Kali Yuga, Treta Yuga, Satya Yuga. And then after Satya Yuga, what is it? It's a cycle. It keeps moving like this. Slowly, Kali Yuga's peak will reduce. And then, you know, people will start slightly becoming better, and reach a point. Again, what will happen? Deterioration will happen. Deteriorate again, slowly, down. How much you can come down? You can't come down beyond a point. Again, what you have to do? Go up again. This cycle will go on and on and on. There's no other choice. Because that is the law of nature. We see everything happening in that cycle. There is no linear at all in nature. Everything is cyclical in nature. Therefore, Vedanta says, life also must be like that, in totality. If you take this macrocosmic way, it is, that also should be happening cyclic only. So the cycle is what? You get this body. With that body, you develop Punya Papa. Depending upon your Punya Papa will be the next body. Depending upon that, you will be getting the next body. Depending upon that, you will. Now, when we say this, it is not that all 100, let's imagine that 100 jivas get back and all 100 will come out next time. Not necessarily. You see, each one will come out according to their own Punya Papa, means there will be fluctuations. Some of them, it's exactly like all of us go to sleep in the night, right? And all of us wake up in the morning? Correct. Do you mean to say that all of us go to sleep at the same time? All of us wake up at the same time? No. Same rule apply here. All of us, general rule is what? General rule is all of us go to sleep in the night and all of us wake up in the morning. This is the rule. But the time of everyone going to sleep is different, everyone waking up is different. Similarly, all the jivas will go back in pralaya and come out in kalpa. That doesn't mean exact number who goes in same time everyone will come out. Why that fluctuation there again? Again depending upon their karma only. Exactly, right? Why there is a fluctuation in all of us going to sleep at a different time, waking up at a different time? Depending upon our karma, isn't it? A fellow who is working for the clients in US and the boss is in India, to speak to his boss and his colleagues, he should be awake during daytime. To speak to his clients, he has to be awake in the nighttime. So when he will sleep? Daytime he has to speak to these fellows, therefore he is awake. And night he has to be awake. Why? Because he has to speak to the clients. Then when he will sleep? That's what one fellow said. That is why we hold meetings. எப்படா தூங்குவேன்? அதுதான் மீட்டிங் இருக்கே சார். In the meeting he sleeps, he says. That we, it keeps varying from person to person. Same way, all that jivas will manifest, but don't take it as all of them will come out at the same time. Not necessarily. There is a fluctuation, but nevertheless, one is true. What is it, sir? Everyone will come out. If you have done lot of punya karma, you will come back at the time of Satya Yuga. Lot of papa, Kali Yuga. We are in Kali Yuga. And you have come out. You got to read between lines. Simple as it. See, so don't take it, because some of them, will assume like this. You see, these ideas were given for us to mull over. So when you think, you get a lot of, questions, and more the questions you get, more it will reveal the depth and the logic behind the whole thing. It is very, very, a sensible theory. So they say, beings go, beings come out. That's all is happening. So creation, when we say, we are talking about manifestation, expression. Destruction means unmanifest. In microcosmic level, miniature scale, what is it, sir? You go to sleep, you wake up. One individual jiva dies, one individual jiva born. Next layer. Further you go beyond that is the total jivas, the whole thing goes to unmanifest. Whole thing goes to unmanifest means what? Everyone goes to sleep in the night. Correct. Everyone wakes up in the morning. Same way, during pralaya time, everyone goes to this. During kalpa, wake up. That's how it is. So that's what he gives here. Multitude of beings being born again and again. It just born again and again. It dissolved helplessly at the approach of night. O Partha, and it steams forth at the approach of day. During daytime, it comes out. During night time, it is all going back to this. Since a person who is liberated, the mukta, the self-realized souls, they don't perform any actions which is connecting, which accrues punya or papa, or the sadhak, the seeker, who performs action which doesn't gather punya or papa. Before that, first thing he foregoes is papa. He negates the papa first. Then he negates the punya also. So the process of growing is first you got to drop papa, meaning Nishita karma. Right? Certain things are not allowed. Allowed in the sense nobody is going to be policing you to state it. It is a moral law. You don't break those moral laws. There is a law. There is a responsibility you have. If you break it, you are in trouble. You get papa. What is that sin? The sin is this. And then agitations. You got to be paying the price of that. When it goes beyond a point, you will be ticked off. This is the one. Then what he does is he is negating papa, but then he will develop punya. No, sir. He will not even develop punya also. How do you get this punya papa? You get punya and papa because of performing actions based on your desires, impulses. Your non-application. You don't apply yourself. You don't think clearly. You don't dedicate your actions for a higher cause. You do things out of your desires. So when you are doing action out of your desire, it will develop depending upon the quality of the desire, punya or papa. And depending upon you have accrued punya and papa, you will be given rewards or punishment. And the rewards or punishments are not given by him. He is not going to give it. Right? The rewards or punishments is not going to be given. Depending upon what you have ordered, he supplies. So you can't blame him for that. It is you ordered. So therefore, you have to take the responsibility. There, what Vedanta says is this. It says, there is an option you have in you. Now here he says, those who gain this, though have done that punya karma, can go right up to this Brahmaloka. Up to Brahmaloka, you can go, which means so much of punya you must have done to get into Brahmaloka. And in Brahmaloka, what you are going to do will define next. You can go to Brahmaloka. You can enjoy there. After enjoyment, what are you going to do? Back to square one. So visualize it like a place first. First, visualize it like as though you go to a place, there, come back. Then, after you get established there, after you have become comfortable, then go to the principle. Now, in Vedanta, we come reverse. We get the principle first and then come. First, try to understand the subtlest aspect of it. You cannot compromise a bit. Still, you cannot compromise a bit. Still, you cannot compromise a bit. So, we come with the reverse order. But it's not happening like it happens the other way around. It's easy to go in this way, but Vedanta prefers to come from the other way. Now, depending upon your nature, you choose. Now, don't ask me which is better, sir. That depends on your choice. You see, there are people to whom we say, to a team, the team leader comes, he says, oh, we got this project. I don't think we will be able to complete it. I don't think we are capable of handling this order. But we do have this order with us. There is a new order we have. The team members will say what? Sir, you yourself saying not possible. Then why leave it? There's another team which will say, because the team leader said not possible, they will take it up as a challenge and they'll say, we will complete it. You see, now, that's where the leadership comes into picture. I should know how to motivate my team. If my team is like this, then I should motivate them in this way. If my team is the other way, I have to go and tell them the other language. That's about it. But nevertheless, one thing is for sure. There are two types. Similarly, in the world also you have two types. That's what at the beginning of the Gita he says. Lokesmin vivida nishtapura proktamaya. Yes. There are two types of people in the world. So depending upon your nature, you go about it. So there is no, absolution about it. Okay. On a different note, how does pralaya compare to the concept of shunyam in Buddhism? Where does karma dissolve in that case? See, shunyam in Buddhism is not referring to pralaya state. Shunya is referring to perfection. You see, it is Shunyavada of Buddha. That's, strictly speaking, Buddha did not propagate Shunyavada. The followers of Buddha propagated it. It's not Buddha who spoke that, actually speaking. Buddha is only guiding people to negate. He said, it is not, he said. That Neti system, what we have in the Upanishads is what Buddha used in his own language. That's about it. But pralaya is not shunya, because if pralaya is shunya means nothing. Zero. Zero with reference to manifestation. You see, it is with reference to manifestation. It is like a dumb person and a person who is practicing maunam. Both don't talk. The dumb person also is not talking. The mauni also doesn't talk. Are they same? Is what you are asking. Right. One cannot talk. He chooses not to talk. There is a difference. But with reference to manifestation, with reference to an outsider, if I ask you, now identify of the 5 people, 2 fellows are practicing maunam, other 3 fellows are dumb. Locate. I give you 5 pictures. Now, how will you locate? Or imagine 5 fellows sleeping. In that, I tell you, there is one musician, there is one mathematician, there is a philosopher, there is a drama artist. How will you identify? Who is who? Once they wake up, you can identify. When they have not woken up, you can't identify. That doesn't mean the philosopher in that person is not existing. The musician in that person is not existing. They have not manifested. That's all. So when it goes to unmanifestation, it will appear as though it has disappeared into nothing. But is it nothing? Vedanta says no. That seeming, apparent nothingness is everything. So that the Shunyavada of Buddhism is not pralaya. Then what is it, sir? I don't know. You have to ask Buddhists only for that. But what they say is not this. Because this is not Shunya. Because it is unmanifest, I am not able to contact. So from my angle, it looks like nothing. What is it now? Nothing. Is it nothing? It is not. Therefore, it is not. Okay. From verses 20 to 22, these 3 verses, Krishna is explaining the state of Brahman. So first he has explained 2 things, manifest unmanifested. Two things he has explained. Now he is establishing Brahman stands beyond both. That is the topic. Brahman beyond the manifest and the unmanifest world. So first he has explained what is the manifested world and what is the unmanifested. Microcosm, macrocosm, all that he has explained. Now he is moving to the idea of what is this Swarupa of Brahman. Nature of Brahman. What is it? Is what he is coming from verses 20 to 22. These three verses, he establishes that. Parastasmatu bhavonya objekto yakta sanatana yasa sarveshu bhuteshu nashatsu na vinashyati. But there exists higher than the unmanifested, yet another unmanifested being, eternal, which is not destroyed when all beings are destroyed. Now he says, now he is introducing Brahman. So far, Brahman is not introduced. Only now Brahman introduction. Like just before climax, hero is introduced now. Like that he is doing. So far, no hero. But there exists higher than the unmanifested, yet another unmanifested being. This is that unmanifested objecta. There is another objecta. Yet another one. This vyakta means created. World. What is experienceable? The experienceable, manifested, created world is referred as Vyakta. Vyaktam. Vyakta is that. Vyakta is that. Avyakta is the opposite of that. Non-experienceable, unmanifested world that you have to add. You see, there is a non-experience. This Avyaktam is unmanifested. It is not. What is not experienceable? The manifested is the effect. The unmanifested is the cause. The manifested, the effect can never connect with the cause. Not possible. The created can never understand the creator. Apple Watch can never understand Steve Jobs. The iPad or iPhone can never understand Steve Jobs. There are two things. One is the iPad, another one is Steve Jobs. There are two things. Okay. That's all he says. This Avyakta is the Maya Rupa. Technically, he says, is that Karana Rupa, which is Maya, which is that ignorance, which is the unmanifest, which is vasanas, all that. So don't ask. Suddenly, don't create one word and ask me in next class. Sir, is it the same thing? Yeah, it's all same words. Different words we use to refer to this. So Avyakta can be that Karana Rupa Maya, it could be vasanas, it could be the ignorance, it could be this, everything. Because in Pralaya time, who is existing? Only Brahma is there. Created is not there. World is there. The whole world has entered into Brahma. So who's there now, sir? Only Brahma is existing. Once he wakes up, what is there? There are two things. Brahma is there, world is there. So Brahma is there also. When the world manifests, also Brahma is there. But you see the world. You can connect to Brahma, only the world is removed. When the world is unfolded into Brahma, then you see only Brahma. This is one. Then he says, there is one more Avyakta. There is another unmanifest. Now, this is where the problem is. We can have a distinction between two manifest. Our buddhi can distinguish, discriminating if possible. With the manifestation, two things. This is different, that is different. Now, suddenly, it switches off to something which we can't connect to. There is another Avyakta. It is like saying Indian space and Japan space. There's a difference. Now, Indian land and Japan land, you can distinguish. Or Indian silence and Japanese silence. In silence, how can you distinguish two silences? You see, now straight away it goes beyond your conception. Yet another Avyakta. Now, how did he identify another Avyakta? Because what your buddhi can connect to only is this much. That's why these things goes beyond. It stretches your intellect to extreme and it simply breaks. All that he says is a simple terminology. He says, there is another Avyakta. This Avyakta is unmanifested. There is then another one. What is it? Another Avyakta is there. How do you know that? You can't ask the question to him because he can never give an explanation to your satisfaction. Why? Not because he can't explain, because we cannot connect, because our equipment that we carry can understand only distinctions at the stage of Vyakta. Differences and understanding is possible, distinction is possible, discrimination is possible with Vyaktam. Between two Avyakta, you can't discriminate. Between two Vyakta, discrimination is possible. Between Vyakta and Avyakta, discrimination is possible. Between two Avyakta, we give up the ghost. Lesser. Yeah. Actually, this mass extraordinary this is. That which has no dissolution or manifestation. What is the difference now? The first Avyakta has a manifestation and unmanifestation. Okay. The second Avyakta has no manifestation, no unmanifestation. Both don't exist for it. That's the difference. What is the difference between the first Avyakta and second Avyakta? Look at the compassion of these people to come and explain this to us. Amazing there. Imagine, we just leave it at that stage and say, how can you say there are two Avyaktas? There is another Avyakta, which is the real Avyakta. Because by the very definition, very meaning of the word Avyakta is unmanifested, which means it should not be able to manifest itself. It should not manifest. No manifestation for it. Whereas this Avyakta that you are talking about so far has a, sometime it is standing as unmanifest, sometime it stands as manifest. So how can you call it as a strictly unmanifest? It's not strictly unmanifest. It is lower. That's what he says. Kathopanishad says that. There he says, this Avyakta is superior to that Mahat. He says, Mahat is the word, manifested. This Avyakta, superior. Then he says, there is Para to that Avyakta also. There's something which is superior to that also. This is a Purusha. Purusha is superior to that Avyakta. So what are the three things he says in Kathopanishad? He uses three words, which is slightly easier to follow than what Krishna speaks here. See, because there he uses three words. He says, one is Mahat, another one is Avyakta, another one is Purusha. So, Avyakta superior to Mahat, world. Purusha is superior even to Avyakta, which means Purusha superior to Avyakta and Mahat. Therefore, he is Parama Purusha. He is superior. Beautiful, way of explaining this. But Krishna's, looks far better than that, actually. He scores here. There is yet another Avyakta. Yes, because at the time of death, at the time of individual death, what is happening? When an individual dies, the physical body goes, but the subtle body is there. Subtle body doesn't disappear. Subtle body doesn't get destroyed. Only the physical body is gone. The gross expression is gone. That's all. The subtle body is still intact. At the time of Pralaya, what is happening? At this time, the physical body goes, subtle body exists. Stula Sharira destroyed, Sukshma Sharira exists. At the time of Pralaya, the Sukshma Sharira also gets into Karana Sharira. During this what we call the individual birth, individual death, and all keeps happening. Like sometimes you take a nap, during daytime also. Isn't it? Same thing. This is what your birth, your death, individual birth, individual death. All this is happening during daytime. Right? Same way goes on. What is happening there? Stula Sharira gone. Sukshma Sharira exists. In Pralaya, what is happening? Sukshma Sharira also gets folds back into Karana Sharira, causal body. Right? Upon realization, what is happening? The Karana Sharira gets destroyed. The Karana Sharira goes away. Only what is existing now? Only the self remains. That is all. That is what he is trying to explain here. All that he says is what? Yet another Avyakta is there. That Avyakta is different from this. Why? Because Vyakta, Avyakta that we understand, primary level of Avyakta understanding is what? Vyakta, Avyakta, the Sukshma Sharira and Karana Sharira and Stula Sharira. Three. Sorry, the other way around it is. Stula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, Karana Sharira. Gross, subtle, causal. When you are viewing the whole thing from the gross, then what is Vyakta and Avyakta? Stula Sharira Vyakta, Sukshma Sharira Avyakta. Then from the level of Sukshma Sharira, then Sukshma Sharira is Vyakta and Karana Sharira Avyakta. Then from the position of Karana Sharira becomes a lower Avyakta. Don't say Vyakta now. Okay, this is lower one, that is higher one. That's what he said earlier, Para and Apara. Para is higher. This is Apara, lower Avyakta, unmanifest. Lower unmanifest is what? Karana Sharira is the lower unmanifest. Then manifest is what? Two things can manifest out of it. What are the two? Stula and Sukshma, the Sukshma Sharira. Gross and subtle body. That's all he says. And these things. Now, what is the implication here? What is he implying with all these things? By explaining this is Stula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, all this, the implication is what? The implication is you are that Paramavyakta. New word. Sanskrit, you can create, I said, no, is what it is. Paramavyakta. There is higher than that. How do you get it there? That is your real nature. Your real nature is that Paramavyakta. Beautiful idea. These are the things designed for contemplation. For you to contemplate, these are the things which will help you a lot to keep reveling in that thought. I am that Avyakta. Then what is this? If that is what you are, go directly to that to that eternal and manifest. Why are you getting into the cycle of manifest and manifest and manifest? That's what Shankara says, Bhajagovind says, Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Ma. Again birth, again death, again birth, again death, again and again and again and again and again. What I am doing? Vyakta, 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 Vyakta. When your real nature is that Vyakta, then why are you wasting your time going through the cycles, man? Don't waste your time. That's the implication here. Waking and dream state is Vyakta, manifested. The deep sleep state is unmanifested. Okay, I'm only explaining it from different angles. Okay. Another way of understanding this is the waking state of experience, state of consciousness, and the dream state of consciousness are Vyakta, manifested. Then the deep sleep state of consciousness is unmanifested state, Avyakta. The pure consciousness is yet another eternal Avyakta. Indestructible. He qualifies that. Yet another Avyakta, which is eternal in nature. He says. World is like this. You have to understand this is Vyaktam and that is Avyakta. Manifested and unmanifested. That eternal unmanifested is not destroyed when all beings are destroyed. When all beings are destroyed means even when the Karana Sharira goes away, even this unmanifest goes away, what will happen after Brahma dies? That's what the question comes. Sir, what will happen after Brahma dies? எல்லாம் போயிடுமா? அப்ப இதுவும் போயிடுமா? He says, nothing will get destroyed. That self is yet another. Brahma will go. Brahma may come, Brahma may go. But Vishnu will go on. He is not going to be destroyed. He says, yet another unmanifest being, which is eternal, means always existing. That is the real nature of Brahman. Yes. Think on it. See you in the next class. Hari Om.